Okay. So we're back from our closed session on item 11.2. We got a couple of motions out of the ICF arbitration and legal matters. Councillor Dean?
Thanks. Reeve, I move to direct legal to proceed as discussed.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Any against? Carried.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept the financial report from administration as information.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Kuchen. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Okay, we'll go backwards to go forwards here, so we'll do on item 10, we had nothing under correspondence information. 10.1, council reports. Want to start, Councillor Dean?
Okay, thank you. Just 3 items. Along with the rest of council, I attended a joint council workshop with the town of Whitecourt on 2 different items. That was on February 23rd. On the 28th, I attended the Whitecourt and District Ag Society meeting, and nothing earth-shattering coming out of that meeting, just normal day-to-day business. And then on the 28th as well, along with Reeve Burrows, I attended the RCMP presentation that was held at the Whitecourt Legion, and it was a very informative discussion. I urge anybody that may be listening to this presentation to contact that organization, and I think we can probably put their website address up on our social media platforms, if I can provide that later, just so residents can go. But they can certainly contact those of us that were in attendance to get our thoughts. It's a very, very comprehensive question being contemplated by the province to transfer over from the current RCMP model to a provincial model, and I think there's, I think residents would do well to get an understanding of it.
Okay. Any questions to Councillor Dean? Okay. Thanks, Councillor Dean. Councillor Wilhelm?
Right, I finally got to go to some committee meetings since the last one, so attended 2 separate committee meetings, one for Lac St. Anne Foundation. There was some issues with COVID that were going on that kept the board from meeting for almost 2 months, just because of the issues there taking up a lot of their time and having to deal with a lot of logistical problems. So it's good to see that back on board. It was actually my first meeting with them. So it's a fantastic group, and I really like the administration with that group. So I think this one's an important one for our community, and I'd like to be part of that one. No real news from there. It was just me catching up with what's going on in that board, because there's a lot going on there. And then my second committee meeting was with Community Futures, and that's another one that has a huge amount of background on it. I had taken over for Reeve Burrows, so had to hit the ground running on that one and try to catch up with all the current issue, or not issues, I guess, but concerns with that committee and that group. So other than that, it's been a quiet month for me. So that's all I really have.
Okay. Councillor Kuchen?
Yeah, I attended the joint meeting as well. One of the things that did come out of it afterwards was there was a lot of interest for a lot of the residents want to see that geothermal report that we were given, and I wasn't sure how to deal with that. I think that that report, if that's available, I know a couple of people that would like to see the whole report. The only other thing that same evening I attended, I was liaison meeting with the school, which was was really, really quite productive. Happy to say that whoever pushed the buttons for the sign to be lit up, it was lit up, so there was a lot of happy people. So I'll bring that to say thank you very much. We don't know exactly how that all happened, but it happened rather quickly once it was mentioned. The other thing that they're wanting to extend a big thank you to Woodlands for supporting the library space there in Fort Assiniboine, because it is a key sort of a central part, because it's right on the school, and they're looking at the enrollment going up there, so the floor space is being used a lot more. There's a lot of positive things going on there right now, so I support them in as many ways as I can with the information that I can give that comes from council. Other than that, that's been pretty well my month.
Okay, any questions? Councillor Williams?
I only attended the library board meeting since our last meeting. That's a very well-ran board. Councillor Cush is on there too. They do a very good job, very informative. They have lots of events that they put on. I didn't honestly even realize they did as much as they do. So that was really, really good. That was our first meeting that we've had, so I got roped into being treasurer on there. So we'll see how that goes. But that's all.
Councillor, any questions? Councillor Prestidge?
I had a really slow 2 weeks. I was under the weather. But
Kid.
we had a family day in Woolwich at the library and the rink. And from what I hear, it was very well attended. And the sad news of the general store burning up. And I'd like to thank the community. They rallied around those owners. Unbelievable. And second is the Keyera Pipeline Group, their contractor that's doing the bore under the river, sent their water truck and back trucks with water to supply it. They shut themselves down to supply water, which was really good. I stopped and talked to the inspector looking after it and thanked him. So,
Very good. Can we send you're gonna,
I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah.
Can we send a thank you letter or something from the county to them for thanking them for helping?
They did, like, there was no question. They were there helping out. They didn't stop, but they weren't in the way. Like, they did such a good job. Those guys were awesome.
I think it's important that you thank people that do something like that, especially.
That was huge too, because they had a water issue in town there,
Right.
and the hydrant pressure went away, so we were dependent on that water too, so.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Do
The
you need
hydrant
a,
pressure went away?
do you need a motion for that?
No, I think we can send one out.
Sure, we can do it right now. Bruce
You
is gonna
want
have
to?
his hand up in the
Sure.
air.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion that we send a thank you letter to Keyera Pipelines and their subcontractor for helping with the fire in Woodridge.
Okay, any discussion on that? All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Any questions for Councilor Prestidge? Okay, Councilor Cush?
A couple board meetings at the Woodlands Library Board. Again, great group of people on that board. Biggest thing we're trying to highlight, or amongst ourselves anywhere, and a couple of members that have stood on some of the other community boards in the area, is kind of showcasing a lot of what they actually do in the community and the different events and stuff that are actually sponsored by the libraries in the areas, and you know how much it actually impacts the area and the region for all the communities around us. So hopefully we can get some numbers and get something together that actually shows what how important they are actually to the region. I had a Whitecourt Library Board meeting as well. We just kind of went over where the library's at right now, and they went through the upcoming Arts and Culture Center and kind of looked at their space, and that's mostly what the meeting was about. What else? We had the joint workshop with the town. Rest of us sat in on, and I had a seminar I sat on with Brownlee. I talked about emerging trends in rural law, kind of around that. A lot of it was just basically going over like FOIA preferences and everything, but then I kind of went in and showcased a lot of the cases, I guess, that they're on, kind of description and how things have kind of played out and where things are at, and just different things to expect with, I guess, with municipalities and how some of the I guess the law kind of played out with those. So it was very informative. I mean, it was a legal course, so it was very dry, but this is worth sitting on.
Okay, any questions for Councilor Kush? All right. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I apologize.
Councilor
I forgot during my part. I had a motion that I wanted to make.
Oh, yep, good call, because I have it written down right here, and we're gonna do that.
Totally forgot to do it, so I apologize. So I'm going to make a motion to move the priority issues for AAP to the governance priorities for discussion at the next meeting
Tomorrow?
tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay, any discussion on that motion? All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Thanks, Councilor Wilhelm. Okay, so for me, I actually decided to explore a little bit, and for Family Day, I threw my daughter in the truck and we headed up to Fort Assiniboine and got to skate at that arena, which is a really nice arena, and the ice surface was really good and smooth, and I have absolutely no excuses for being that lousy of a skater again. Yeah, it was a great facility. So, and I guess for people that are looking for ice time, you gotta realize that Woodlands has facilities like that. It's a beautiful indoor arena. It's, I'd say, an hour drive time away. It's easy drive, all paved, well maintained by reciprocal agreement, mostly by the County of Woodlands. So that was an interesting day. I accepted a invite by the MLA, Martin Long, to attend a reading of the provincial budget at the Legislative Building, which was interesting because I don't know if you've been through security at that place, but don't go with a lot of stuff in your pockets. I made that mistake. You have to go through security 3 times in the same building. So very different experience. Looks like provincially we're back to a balanced budget, but the interesting comment coming out of the province was that carrying debt right now is not a good idea, and they do not want to get into a deficit or a debt type of position. We had some briefings with ministers after that. I attended the session with the RCMP, and I don't think anything more that I could say that Councillor Dean hasn't already touched on. Again, the joint meeting with the town on the geothermal and the joint industrial complex. And I was on a call, this was an RMA call, but it had to do with rural broadband. And I won't specifically go into what was talked about at the call, but the interesting part is we've been going through this whole rural broadband thing. It is such a huge issue to try and solve, and I think as municipal and provincial politicians have been looking at it, they've been trying to figure out, how do we solve this problem? Is there a magic bullet? Is there one thing that's going to solve the whole thing? And I think the answer to that is no. And I'm very curious to see a strategy that the province is actually going to be releasing on this, because excuse me, I think in some ways there has to be a definition between, or sorry, a differentiation between rural and remote. So in a remote setting, there is absolutely no way you are going to get any kind of fiber or infrastructure or hardware up there. It's either gonna be radio or it's gonna be satellite. And there are the new satellite networks that are being deployed, low Earth orbit satellites. And I think that technology is gonna be very handy in those remote areas, but from everything that I've heard in the industry, the 50-10 up-down marks that they're looking for, and there's latency issues with the satellite as well. Those are a good start, but as broadband creeps up, you know, we're generally on 1080p right now, but we'll get up to 4K, and the need for broadband is going to be more and more and more and more and more. So I'm thinking that as those satellites fill up with subscribers, they're going to start bogging down. They're still going to be bottlenecking. So that's where the differentiation on the rural comes in. And in those areas with some of the granting that's coming from the province, and I think they're up to 350 million right now from grants to deal with broadband issues, is a fiber network where it's plausible based on density, and then and when you get into fiber, it's basically future-proof. You can change the technology on either end of the fiber, and as long as the fiber is still intact, it can be multiplied over and over again. Apparently the fiber that's in the ocean from the 60s is still there, and all they've done is change the stuff out on either end of it, and it's carrying thousands of times more information than it was originally designed to. So I'm hopeful that we'll have some good news there, but a component of that is also going to be at the local level that we'll have to look at in our own, and we've got a development that's coming up, for example, in Blue Ridge. And do we put requirements when services are being put into some of these subdivisions that are being applied for? Do we require conduit to be buried for fiber cable as part of the Dig Once policy? And I think so that's the component on the municipal end that we can really facilitate some growth that way, and something we need to look at. And what does the density look like to get it, to require it? That's everything for me, so any questions?
So you went for a skate, that means you have all your hockey gear now?
Nope, just my skates, and I was wearing a pair of work gloves. Yeah. But I'm willing to go without gear.
Might hurt.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Make a motion to accept the council reports for information.
Okay, motion on the floor from Councillor Cush. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. All right, we get back to Nope, financial report, no. 10.3, CAO report.
Thank you, Your Worship, members of council. The last couple of weeks, we've been working on ensuring that we're keeping communication with all of the departments while CAO Frank is away, working with legal on the ICF. It's been audit, and of course that brings with it a lot of year-end requirement work that has to be done, but that's going well as well. Like Councillor Cush, I did manage to catch some of the emerging trends workshop, and specifically the taxation part always interests me, and I like to take in any of those opportunities, and attended also the joint council workshop. Any questions of myself? Okay.
Well, thank you, Alicia, for doing such a good job in Gord's absence, and we certainly appreciate you. I know that you're having to pull double duty here, so we appreciate the work that you're putting in.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, motion to accept the CAO report. Councillor Williams.
I'll make a motion that council accepts the CAO report as information.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. All right, now we're back on track. We got 11.2 out of the way, so
Do 11.3 first.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
So, only thing is, no, we should be okay, because there won't be motions coming out of that anyways. Let's move into, closed session on 11.3, and then I will be excusing myself on, actually, no, I have to excuse myself in public.
Yeah, so we'll come out of camera.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go into closed session for 11.3, we'll come back at a closed session for, that, then I can go and go back in again, so. Motion to go into closed session for joint council workshop 11.3. Oh, sorry. Andre?
Sorry, prior to that, I just want to advise council, this is referring to item 8.5, the surplus equipment. I just received an email that, on the value of that loader. In the RFP, I was asked a question what the value was. I said between 30, 50,000. I'm being told now with the supply chain being the way it is, that unit will likely go for approximately 120,000. That's information I think council should have in case council wants to reconsider their motion.
Okay,
Sorry, Andre.
thanks, Andre. That makes things a lot easier.
Well, can I comment on it?
Go ahead.
So it definitely changes our, I believe, potentially our decision-making process on it. But I think we would still like to know as well, you know, say we put it up for auction, immediately get 120, how much longer were we gonna need it to use it for? And then what is gonna be the cost to replace it in the short term? Because obviously, as soon as we take it out of service to sell it, we're gonna immediately have to rent something to cover the cost, right? As far as I understand.
Through the chair to Councillor Wilhelm. For 120,000, I have a hard time recommending that we keep it. 120,000, we can hire a local contractor for, 5-6 days, wherever we need it, kind of thing.
Okay, from a structural point of view, would we have to rescind the motion that we passed to keep it and look at it in a year? This would be the auction, correct?
That is correct.
When is that auction? When do you need the equipment in there?
There's an auction actually today. I think the next one is in May.
Okay, so
Revisit it.
can we rescind the motion that I made on the 1-year reevaluation and just bring it back to the next council meeting so we can have that conversation?
Didn't we vote that down?
Sorry?
Didn't we vote that down?
No. Go ahead.
You could just rescind that motion if you like, and direct administration to proceed with the disposal of the item at auction.
Right,
Yeah, in the May auction.
in the May auction, yeah. So it's either that or we can kick it to the next meeting, whatever you guys wanna do.
Yeah, because you're not going to stick it in this auction today, obviously, right? Okay, we'll just bring the RFD to the next meeting then. I think that makes the most sense.
Yeah, I, like,
As long as it's
time-wise,
going
it doesn't
anywhere.
matter. Does it matter to the next meeting?
Okay.
Okay, so I don't know where my motion is, but I'll make a motion to rescind my motion on keeping it and then reevaluating a year later on the loader, which was unit
L107.
L107? Okay, L107. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? It's carried. Do you need a motion then to bring it to the next meeting?
I don't think so.
Why don't we, I'll just make a motion to
Thank you.
put it in. the
Turf it. See?
Put, I'll make a motion to put L107 into Ritchie Brothers May auction.
Okay.
And just for clarification, 120 is about half the cost of what it would be to buy a new one.
I got the updated cost, would be looking about $350.
It's a lot of money to sell it for.
It's still probably gonna be actually 4, but
Well, if this, we're not replacing this one, right?
no, and our two other loaders are in good shape and they got lots of years in them, so.
Yeah.
Okay, motion on the floor to L, what is it? L 107?
L107.
L 107 to the auction. Any more discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Well, there you go, we finally, we got it unanimous.
Well, information changes.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a lot of money.
Thank you for the information. Okay, now we can move into closed session for item 11.3, joint council workshop.
Joint council workshop under 420.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?